The stars had been quiet for 300 years. In the 7 great systems of the Zephyrian Coalition, war was just an old word found in history books. Ships moved between planets carrying trade goods and happy families. Children played in crystal gardens under alien suns. The Council of Worlds met every month to discuss art festivals and farming reports. Captain Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of her ship and watched this perfect peace through the main screen. The Defiant moved slowly toward the border of Coalition space. Around them, sleek alien vessels glided past like silver fish in a calm ocean. Their hulls were smooth and bright. Their engines hummed with quiet power. Everything about them spoke of a civilization that had forgotten what danger looked like. "Captain, we're getting a signal," said Lieutenant Chun from the communication station. His voice was steady, but Elena could hear the excitement underneath. This was humanity's first contact with the great galactic community. After 200 years of crawling between the stars alone, they were finally going to meet their neighbors. "Put it through," Elena said. She straightened her blue uniform and tried to look respectable. The Defiant was not a pretty ship. Its hull was gray metal scarred by meteor impacts. Its weapons were simple railguns and missile tubes. Compared to the graceful alien ships around them, it looked like a hammer in a jewelry store. The main screen flickered and showed a tall, thin creature with silver skin and 4 arms. Its face was kind, with large purple eyes that seemed to glow with inner light. When it spoke, its voice was like music. "Greetings, unknown vessel. I am Ambassador Thielen of the Zephyrian Coalition. Welcome to our space. We sense that you are new to this region of stars." Elena stepped forward. "I'm Captain Elena Vasquez of the human ship Defiant. We come in peace, seeking contact with other intelligent species." Thielen's expression brightened. "How wonderful. A new species joining our community. You must be tired from your long journey. Please allow us to escort you to Station Harmony. The Council of Worlds is eager to meet you." 3 coalition ships moved to surround the Defiant. Elena noticed they had no visible weapons. Their hulls were decorated with flowing patterns that looked more like art than armor. She glanced at her tactical officer, Commander Zhang, who was frowning at his screens. "Something wrong?" she asked quietly. "These ships, Captain. They're barely armed." "I'm reading energy signatures, but nothing that looks like serious weapons. It's like they're not built for fighting at all." Elena nodded. She had noticed the same thing. Every human ship carried enough firepower to crack a moon. The Defiant itself was armed with nuclear missiles, plasma cannons, and kinetic weapons that could punch through a battleship. But these alien vessels seemed designed only for transportation and communication. As they traveled towards Station Harmony, Thielen appeared on screen again. "Captain Vasquez, forgive my curiosity, but your ship appears to be heavily armed. Are you perhaps military?" "All human ships are military, Ambassador. We've had to fight for everything we have. Pirates, hostile. Aliens, asteroid storms. Space is dangerous." Thielen's 4 hands fluttered in what might have been surprise. "How terrible, you poor creatures, living in such fear. But you need not worry anymore. Our space is protected by the Harmony protocols. We have not seen violence in 3 centuries. 3 centuries? Elena could not hide her amazement. "How do you settle disputes?" "Through discussion and compromise, of course. The Council of Worlds mediates all conflicts. We have found that any problem can be solved with patience and understanding. Violence is simply unnecessary when beings of good will work together." Elena exchanged glances with her crew. "Lieutenant." Chun looked skeptical. Commander Zhang was shaking his head. They had all grown up in a galaxy where peace came at the end of a gun barrel, where the only thing that kept humans alive was being stronger and more dangerous than whatever wanted to kill them. Station Harmony was beautiful beyond words. It hung in space like a crystal flower, its transparent walls revealing gardens and waterfalls inside. Ships docked at its petals like insects visiting a bloom. Everything about it spoke of a civilization that had learned to live without fear. Defiant looked crude and ugly next to such elegance. Its battle armor and weapon ports seemed almost shameful in this place of peace. The docking process was gentle and careful. Coalition workers moved like dancers, guiding the human ship into position with force fields and magnetic clamps. Elena had expected military inspections and security checks, but instead they were greeted by beings carrying flowers and small gifts. Ambassador Thielen met them at the airlock. In person, he was even more graceful than on screen. His movements were fluid and peaceful. Behind him stood representatives of a dozen species, all smiling and welcoming. Captain Vasquez, welcome to our community. The Council has voted to grant humanity observer status. You may attend our meetings and learn our ways. In time, perhaps you will choose to join the Harmony Protocols and know true peace. Elena looked around at the beautiful station, at the happy faces, at the proof that an entire galaxy had learned to live without war. Part of her wanted to believe it was possible. Part of her wanted to lay down arms and trust in the goodness of others. But another part of her, the part trained by generations of human survival, noticed things the aliens could not see. The station had no shields. The security guards carried what looked like stunners, not real weapons. The very air smelled of complacency and soft living. "Thank you, Ambassador," she said. "We're honored by your welcome. But tell me, what happens when someone breaks the Harmony Protocols? What do you do when discussion and compromise fail?" Thielen's expression grew puzzled, as if she had asked what color the number 7 was. "But Captain, why would anyone break the protocols? They ensure peace and prosperity for all. Who would choose violence over harmony?" Elena said nothing, but she thought of human history. She thought of the wars that had forged her species, the enemies that had tried to destroy them, the hard lessons learned in blood and fire. She thought of the weapons hidden in her ship's hull and the crew trained to use them. The universe was at peace. But Elena Vasquez knew that peace was not the natural state of things. And she wondered what would happen when something came along that could not be reasoned with or compromised with. Something always did. 3 weeks had passed since the Defiant arrived at Station Harmony. Captain Elena Vasquez sat in the council chambers, watching the representatives of 12 species debate the color of new traffic markers for the shipping lanes. The discussion had been going on for 2 hours. "I believe the shade should be more blue," said Councillor Viaran, a tall being with green skin and too many eyes. "Blue promotes calm thinking." "But blue conflicts with our ceremonial robes," replied Councillor Thielen. "Perhaps a gentle yellow would be better." Elena tried not to roll her eyes. Her crew was getting restless. They had come expecting to learn about galactic politics and military strategy. Instead, they watched endless debates about art shows, farming quotas, and now paint colors. Her communication device buzzed softly. A message from Commander Jang on the Defiant. She read it quickly and felt her blood go cold. "Counselors," she interrupted, standing up. "I need to report something urgent." The chamber fell silent. 12 species turned to look at her. Their faces showed mild surprise. Interrupting a council session was considered very rude. "Captain Vasquez," said Thielen gently, "the proper procedure is to request speaking time through the Secretary of Minor Affairs. Then your request will be reviewed by the Committee on New Species Input. They will schedule a hearing within 6 months." 6 months? Elena could not hide her shock. "This cannot wait 6 months. 3 ships have gone missing in the outer ring. Commercial vessels with full crews." Councillor Vran's multiple eyes blinked slowly. "Missing? Do you mean they are late for their scheduled arrivals?" "I mean they have vanished completely. No distress signals, no wreckage. They were there one day and gone the next. The counselors looked at each other with the expressions of people hearing about something from a fairy tale. Phelan spoke first. "Captain, ships do not simply vanish. Perhaps they changed course for commercial reasons. Sometimes traders find better deals at different stations. Without notifying traffic control, without answering communication attempts." Elena felt her voice rising. "Counselor, in human space, this would trigger immediate search and rescue operations." "But this is not human space," said Counselor Merrick's, a being that looked like a walking flower. "This is civilized space. We do not lose ships because we do not make war. There must be a reasonable explanation." Elena sat down hard in her chair. Around her, the council returned to debating paint colors as if nothing had happened. She thought about the missing ships and their crews. Families were waiting for those people to come home. But here, in this chamber of peace, no one seemed to care. 2 days later, Elena stood on the observation deck of the Defiant, watching the Coalition patrol ship drift past their position. The vessel was beautiful, all curves and shining metal. But Elena's tactical officer had examined it closely. Its weapons were ceremonial at best. Its shields were designed to deflect space dust, not enemy fire. Its crew had probably never fired a shot in anger. "Captain," Lieutenant Chun called from the bridge. "We're receiving a priority message from Mining Station Kepler. They're reporting problems." Elena hurried to the bridge. The main screen showed a human face, but the transmission was breaking up badly. Static filled the audio. "This is Station Kepler to any ships in range," the voice said through the interference. "We found something. Wreckage from the missing freighter Golden Dream. But Captain, this is not an accident. The hull has been cut apart by energy weapons. Military-grade weapons." The transmission cut to static. Elena tried to raise the station again, but got no response. "Commander John," she ordered. "Set course for Kepler Station, maximum speed." "Captain," said Chun carefully, "we should report this to Coalition authorities first." Elena thought about the council chamber, about the endless debates and committees. How long would that take? According to the procedures manual, we would need to file a report with the Security Concern Subcommittee. They would review it and pass it to the Investigation Authorization Board. That board would then request permission from the council to form a study group. "How long, Lieutenant?" Chun looked uncomfortable. "Minimum 3 months, Captain. More likely 6. Elena stared at the stars where Kepler Station was supposed to be. Somewhere out there, people might be dying while the Coalition debated the proper forms to fill out. "We go alone," she decided. "The Defiant is equipped to handle this." "Commander." Zhang looked worried. "Captain, if we operate without Coalition approval, we could lose our observer status. Then we lose it. Some things are more important than politics." The Defiant changed course, its fusion engines pushing the ship toward the outer ring. Behind them, Station Harmony continued its peaceful existence, unaware that cracks were forming in their perfect universe. The journey to Kepler took 18 hours. When they arrived, Elena felt her heart sink. The mining station hung in space like a broken toy. Its lights were dark. Its communication arrays were twisted metal. Long scorch marks covered its hull where energy weapons had struck. "Life signs?" Elena asked. "None, Captain," reported the sensor officer. "The station is cold and empty." They docked carefully with the damaged station. Elena led a boarding party through airlocks that had been cut open with surgical precision. Inside, they found corridors filled with floating debris and emergency lights that flickered like dying stars out in the station's control room. They found the logs. The last entry was time-stamped 36 hours ago. "Unknown ships approaching," the recorded voice said. "They ignore our hails. They are powering weapons. Oh God, they are firing. This is Kepler Station to anyone listening. We are under attack." Repeat, we are under attack by unknown vessels using advanced energy weapons. The recording ended in static and screaming. Elena closed her eyes and thought about the council chamber, where 12 species spent hours debating paint colors while people died in the dark between the stars. Commander Zhang, she said quietly, begin detailed scans of the wreckage. I want to know everything about these weapons. What they are, where they came from, and who used them. Yes, Captain. And after that? Elena looked out at the peaceful stars, at the galaxy that had forgotten how to fight, at the universe that thought violence was just an old word in history books. After that, we find who did this. And we remind them that some species still remember what war looks like. Captain Elena Vasquez stared at the data on her screen and felt cold fear creep up her spine. The wreckage from Kepler Station told a story that made her stomach turn. The energy weapons that destroyed the station were not just advanced. They were perfect, too perfect for any known coalition technology. Commander Zhang, she called to her tactical officer. Show me those weapon signatures again. Zhang brought up the analysis on the main screen. Captain, these energy patterns are unlike anything in our databases. The beam coherence is nearly perfect. The power output is off the charts. Whoever built these weapons has been developing them for a very long time. Elena nodded grimly. She had spent 3 days examining the evidence. The attackers had used cloaking technology that made them invisible to coalition sensors. Their weapons could cut through station halls like paper. And they had done it all without leaving a single trace of their identity, Lieutenant Chen, she said. Any response from the coalition to our reports? Chen looked uncomfortable. The Security Concerns Subcommittee has acknowledged receipt of our filing. They estimate a preliminary review will be complete in 8 to 12 weeks. Elena laughed, but there was no humor in it. 8 weeks, while more people die. Her communication console beeped with an incoming message. Elena expected another bureaucratic response from the coalition. Instead, she saw the face of a human woman with short gray hair and tired eyes. Captain Vasquez, this is Commander Sarah Kim of the merchant vessel Prosperity. Are you receiving this transmission? Elena quickly opened the channel. Commander Kim, this is Captain Vasquez. We hear you clearly. What is your status? Captain, we picked up your warning about unknown attackers. We think we found something you need to see. We intercepted a communication burst 3 hours ago. It was encrypted, but our computer specialist managed to break part of it. Elena felt her heart race. What did you find? Captain, these attackers are not random pirates. They are organized. They call themselves the Void Syndicate, and they are planning something big. The main screen flickered as Kim transmitted the intercepted data. Elena watched lines of alien text scroll past, with human translations appearing below. Phase 1 complete. Outer stations eliminated. Coalition defense response exactly as predicted. Slow and ineffective. Begin Phase 2. Target the core worlds. The galaxy has grown weak in its peace. Time to remind them what strength looks like. Elena read the message twice before the full meaning hit her. Commander Kim, where did this transmission originate? That is the problem, Captain. It came from dark space. The region beyond the coalition borders where no one lives. But our sensors show massive energy signatures out there. Ships, Captain. Lots of them. Elena closed her eyes and tried to think clearly. An organized enemy with advanced weapons, hiding in dark space and planning to attack the core worlds. The coalition had no idea what was coming. Their defense fleet was designed for ceremonial parades, not real combat. Commander Kim, thank you for this information. I need you to take your ship to the nearest coalition base and report this to anyone who will listen. Already tried, Captain. They told us to file a report with the Alien Contact Documentation Office. Estimated processing time is 4 months. Elena felt anger burn in her chest. While bureaucrats shuffled papers, an enemy fleet was preparing to destroy everything the coalition had built. "Captain," Lieutenant Chun interrupted. "We are receiving a priority transmission from Coalition Command." Elena turned to the screen, expecting to see Ambassador Thielen or another council member. Instead, she saw Admiral Korth, the highest military commander in the coalition. His blue skin was pale with worry. "Captain Vasquez, I am transmitting on a secured channel. We need to talk immediately." Elena raised an eyebrow. This was the first time any coalition military officer had contacted her directly. "Admiral, we are listening." "Captain, 3 more stations have gone dark in the last 6 hours. Canis Base, Orbital Platform 7, and Research Station Omega. All of them were hit by the same unknown attackers you reported." Elena felt her stomach drop. "Admiral, have you read our intelligence reports about the Void Syndicate?" Admiral Korth's expression darkened. "What intelligence reports?" "The ones we filed with the Security Concerns Subcommittee 3 days ago. The intercepted communications. The evidence of an organized enemy fleet." "Captain, I have seen no such reports. The subcommittee has not forwarded anything to military command." Elena stared at the Admiral in disbelief. Even now, with attacks happening across coalition space, the bureaucracy was still shuffling papers, instead of sharing vital information. "Admiral," she said carefully, "how many ships does the coalition have that are actually equipped for combat?" Admiral Korth was quiet for a long moment. "Captain, we have 12 patrol ships with light defensive weapons. The rest of our fleet is designed for exploration, research, and transportation. We have not built a true warship in over 200 years." Elena felt the universe shift around her. The coalition controlled 7 star systems with billions of people, and their entire military force was 12 lightly armed patrol ships. "Admiral, what about planetary defenses?" "Most planets have orbital platforms with mining lasers that could be used as weapons. But Captain, they are operated by civilian crews who have never fired a shot in combat." Elena looked around her bridge at her crew. These humans had trained for war their entire lives. The Defiant carried enough firepower to take on an entire coalition patrol fleet. But against an organized enemy with advanced technology, 1 ship would not be enough. "Admiral," she said slowly, "how long before you can mobilize your defense forces?" "Captain, I would need approval from the Defense Authorization Committee. Then the Resource Allocation Board would need to approve funding. After that, the Council would need to vote on any military action. The process could take months." Elena closed her communication channel and stared at the stars. Somewhere in dark space, an enemy fleet was preparing to attack. The coalition had no real defenses and no way to quickly organize a response. Billions of people were going to die while committees debated proper procedures. She opened a ship-wide communication channel. "All hands, this is the captain. We have discovered evidence of an imminent attack on coalition space by a hostile force called the Void Syndicate. The coalition is unable to mount an effective defense due to bureaucratic delays." Elena paused, thinking about her next words carefully. The Defiant may be the only ship in this region equipped to fight a real war. We have 2 choices. We can follow proper channels and watch innocent people die while politicians debate. Or we can do what humans have always done when faced with impossible odds. She looked at her crew and saw their faces harden with determination. They understood what she was asking. "All hands, prepare for combat operations. We are going to find this Void Syndicate fleet and remind them that some species still know how to fight." As the Defiant changed course toward dark space, Elena thought about the peaceful galaxy around them. For 300 years, these people had lived without fear. They had built something beautiful and worthy of protection, and Elena Vasquez was going to make sure they kept it. The Defiant moved through dark space like a hunter stalking prey. Captain Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge, watching the sensor readings that showed nothing but empty blackness ahead. But she knew the enemy was out there, waiting in the void. Between stars. "Captain," whispered Lieutenant Chun from his station, "I am picking up energy signatures. Massive ones. Distance 12 million kilometers and closing." Elena felt her pulse quicken. "How many ships?" "I count 47 distinct signatures, Captain. Maybe more hiding behind the larger ones." Elena closed her eyes for a moment. 47 enemy ships against one human vessel. The odds were impossible. But humans had faced impossible odds before. "Commander Zhang," she ordered. "Battle stations. Load all missile tubes. Charge the plasma cannons. Power up the kinetic weapons." Across the ship, alarm bells rang softly. Her crew moved to their positions. With practiced efficiency. These people had trained for war, and now war had found them. The main screen flickered to life, showing the enemy fleet emerging from the darkness. Elena had seen many ships in her lifetime, but these vessels made her blood run cold. They were long and black, covered in angular armor that seemed to eat light. Energy weapons bristled from their hulls like the spines of some deadly creature. "Captain," said Zhang grimly, "those are not exploration ships. Those are pure warships. Built for one purpose only." Elena nodded. The Void Syndicate had spent decades preparing for this moment, building a fleet designed to crush the Coalition's peaceful civilization. But they had made one mistake. They had not counted on humans. "Open a communication channel to the enemy." "Fleet," Elena ordered. Doc Chun looked surprised. "Captain, are you going to try to negotiate?" Elena smiled, and there was no warmth in it. "No, Lieutenant. I am going to let them know what they are facing." The main screen showed a creature that might have once been related to the Coalition species, but had been changed by anger and hate. Its face was scarred metal and glowing red eyes. When it spoke, its voice was like grinding stone. "Unknown vessel, you have entered Syndicate space. Surrender now, and your death will be quick." Elena stepped forward. "This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the human warship Defiant. I have a message for your fleet commander." The creature laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "You dare to give messages to us? You pilot one small ship against our armada. You are either very brave or very stupid." "Neither," Elena replied calmly. "I am human. And I am here to teach you something your kind forgot during your years hiding in the dark." "And what is that, human?" Elena's voice turned hard as steel. "How to fight." She cut the communication and turned to her crew. "All hands, this is the captain. We are outnumbered 47 to 1. Our enemy has superior technology and firepower. By every logical calculation, we should run." She paused and looked at each face on the bridge. "But we are not running. We are human. And humans do not run when innocent people are in danger." Elena sat in her command chair. "Mr. Zhang, target the lead ship. Full missile spread. Show them what human weapons can do." The Defiant shuddered as 20 nuclear missiles launched from its tubes. The enemy fleet began evasive maneuvers, their ships moving with graceful precision. But Elena had not survived 2 decades in space by fighting fair. "Detonate now," she ordered. The missiles exploded in a pattern around the enemy ships, creating an expanding cloud of electromagnetic pulse and radiation. For a moment, the Syndicate fleet was blinded and confused. "Now!" Elena shouted. "Full attack! Plasma cannons, kinetic weapons, everything we have." The Defiant dove into the enemy formation like a shark attacking a school of fish. Its weapons fired in all directions, pouring destruction into ships that had expected easy victory. 2 enemy vessels exploded in balls of fire. A third ship spun helplessly, its engines destroyed by kinetic rounds, moving at a significant fraction of light speed. But the enemy was not helpless. Energy beams lanced out, striking the Defiant's hull. Armor plating vaporized under the assault. Warning lights flashed red across the bridge. "Hull breach on Deck 7, reported Chun. "Damage control teams responding." Elena gripped her chair as the ship shook under enemy fire. "Mr. Zhang, ramming speed. Target the largest ship." Zhang stared at her. "Captain, a ramming attack will likely destroy us." "Maybe, but it will definitely destroy them." Elena's voice was calm. "Sometimes the only way to win is to be willing to lose everything." The Defiant accelerated toward the enemy flagship, a massive ship 3 times its size. Energy weapons hammered its hull, but the human ship kept coming. At the last moment, Elena ordered the engines to full reverse. Using the enemy ship as a brake, the collision was tremendous. Both ships spun away from each other, trailing debris and atmosphere. But the Defiant was still intact, while the enemy flagship was split open like a broken egg. For several minutes, the battle raged in the darkness. The Defiant used every trick humans had learned in their violent history. It fired missiles into asteroid fields, turning space rocks into shrapnel weapons. It used debris from destroyed ships as cover. It employed ramming attacks, boarding actions, and tactics that made no sense to civilized minds. The enemy had superior numbers and technology, but they had forgotten how to fight desperate enemies who refused to die quietly. One by one, enemy ships began to retreat. Their formation broke apart as captains decided that glory was not worth facing human fury. Soon, only 12 Syndicate vessels remained, fleeing toward the safety of dark space. Elena slumped in her chair, exhausted. The Defiant was badly damaged. Half its weapons were destroyed. Emergency lights flickered across the bridge, but they had won. "Captain," said Chun quietly, "we are receiving a transmission from Coalition space. Multiple ships are reporting Syndicate attacks on the core worlds." Elena felt her heart sink. While she had been fighting this fleet, the main enemy force had attacked the Coalition's most important planets. The battle here had been a distraction, nothing more. "How many ships attacked the core worlds?" she asked. "Over 200, Captain. The Coalition defense fleet has been destroyed. Planetary governments are surrendering." Elena stared at the stars and realized the terrible truth. The Void Syndicate had played them perfectly, while the Defiant fought a small fleet in dark space. The real invasion had begun, but Elena Vasquez was not finished. Her ship was damaged but not broken. Her crew was tired but not defeated. And somewhere in Coalition space, innocent people needed help. "Mr. Chun," she said quietly, "set course for the core worlds. Maximum speed." "Captain," Zhang said carefully, "we cannot fight 200 ships." Elena smiled grimly. "No, we cannot fight them, but we can do something else." "What is that, Captain?" Elena thought about the peaceful galaxy that had welcomed humanity with flowers and gifts. She thought about the council members who spent hours debating paint colors. She thought about billions of people who had never known war and did not deserve to learn about it now. We can remind them that humans never surrender, and sometimes that is enough. The Defiant limped through space toward the Coalition capital world of Zephyr Prime. Smoke drifted through the corridors. Emergency patches covered holes in the hull. Half the crew was injured, and the ship's weapons were barely functional. But Captain Elena Vasquez pushed her damaged vessel forward because surrender was not in human nature. "Captain," Lieutenant Chun called from his station, "we are receiving transmissions from Zephyr Prime. The planetary government has agreed to surrender to the Void Syndicate." Elena felt sick. What are the terms? Complete submission. All Coalition military forces to be disbanded. All planetary governments to be replaced by Syndicate governors. The message says resistance is hopeless. Elena stared at the main screen, where the blue and green world of Zephyr Prime grew larger. Around the planet, she could see the dark shapes of Syndicate warships. Hundreds of them, forming a blockade that nothing could break. "Commander Jang," she said quietly. "How many enemy ships?" Jang checked his damaged sensors. 237 vessels, Captain, including their flagship, the Dominion. It is 5 kilometers long and armed with weapons that could destroy a moon. Elena nodded. The enemy had won. The coalition was finished. In a few hours, the surrender ceremony would take place, and 300 years of peace would end forever. But humans did not think about winning or losing. They thought about what was right. "Open a channel to all coalition frequencies," Elena ordered. Chun looked surprised. "Captain, the Syndicate will hear us too." "Good. I want them to hear this." Elena stood and faced the main screen. When she spoke, her voice was calm and clear. "This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the human ship Defiant. I am broadcasting to all coalition worlds and to the Void Syndicate fleet. I have a message for both of you." She paused, thinking about the words that might be humanity's last gift to this galaxy. "To the people of the coalition, you have lived in peace for 3 centuries. You have built something beautiful and worthy. You have shown that different species can work together in harmony. That is not weakness. That is the greatest strength in the universe." Elena looked at her crew. These humans had followed her into impossible battles without question. They understood what she was going to do. "To the Void Syndicate, you think strength comes from fear and violence. You are wrong. True strength comes from standing up for others, even when you know you cannot win. Today, you will learn what that looks like." Elena cut the transmission and turned to her crew. "All hands. This is the captain. We are going to ram the enemy flagship. Our ship will be destroyed, but their command structure will be broken. Sometimes that is enough to change everything." She activated the ship-wide communication system one last time. "It has been an honor to serve with all of you. When the coalition tells stories of this day, they will remember that humans did not come to their galaxy to conquer or to take. We came to protect, and that is what we will do until our last breath." The Defiant accelerated toward the massive enemy flagship. Syndicate ships moved to intercept, their weapons firing streams of deadly energy. The human ship shook under the assault, but Elena kept it on course. "Hull breach on all decks," reported Chen. "Life support failing. Engineering to bridge," came a voice over the intercom. "Captain, the fusion reactor is overloading. We have maybe 2 minutes before containment fails." Elena smiled grimly. A reactor explosion would make their ramming attack even more effective. "All hands, prepare for impact." The Dominion grew larger on the screen, its black hull bristling with weapons. Elena could see the enemy bridge where the Syndicate commanders were probably watching in disbelief as one small human ship approached their mighty flagship. But then something unexpected happened. On Elena's tactical display, new contacts appeared. Coalition ships were emerging from behind the planet. Not the ceremonial vessels she had seen before, but cargo ships, mining vessels, and passenger transports. Hundreds of them, all moving toward the Syndicate fleet. "Captain," Chun said with wonder in his voice, "we are receiving transmissions from those ships. They are all volunteers. Coalition citizens who heard your message." Elena felt tears in her eyes as she listened to the voices filling the communication channels. "This is the freighter Golden Star. We stand with the humans. Mining ship Peaceful Dawn here. Today we fight for our children. Transport vessel Hope's Light. For 300 years we lived without fear. Today we remember that freedom has a price." The improvised coalition fleet crashed into the Syndicate forces like a tidal wave. They had no military training and few real weapons. But they had something the enemy did not expect. They had courage. Inspired by one small human ship that refused to surrender, Elena watched in amazement as civilian ships rammed enemy vessels. She saw mining lasers cutting through Syndicate armor. She witnessed ordinary people doing extraordinary things, because someone had shown them it was possible. The Defiant struck the Dominion's bridge at full speed. The impact was tremendous, tearing through both ships like paper. Elena felt her world explode in fire and pain as the reactor containment failed. In her last moments, she heard Admiral Korth's voice over the communication system. "All Coalition forces attack. Fight for your freedom. Fight like humans." The battle raged for hours. When it was over, the Syndicate fleet was broken and scattered. Their flagship was destroyed, their command structure shattered. The survivors fled back to dark space, defeated by a galaxy they had thought was weak. Years later, children across Coalition space would learn about the day peace was saved by those willing to fight for it. They would hear about Captain Elena Vasquez and the crew of the Defiant, who showed an entire galaxy that sometimes violence was necessary to protect what was good and beautiful. The universe was at peace again. But now it was a peace protected by those who understood its true cost. On every Coalition world, memorials were built to honor the humans who had given everything to save strangers. The inscriptions were simple but powerful. They came not to conquer, but to protect. They fought not for themselves, but for others. They died not in vain, but so that peace might live. And in the depths of space, where the Defiant had made its final flight, a beacon was placed that would shine forever. Its message was broadcast in every language of the Coalition. Here died those who proved that the most dangerous thing in the universe is not a weapon or a warship. It is someone who has had enough of watching innocent people suffer. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Peace was not the absence of war. Peace was having guardians willing to fight for it when the darkness came calling, and humanity had shown them that some guardians never back down.